Thank you, Kristen and Jessica. Just want to make sure we're here. Beautiful. You know, I can't help but comment. That was a great presentation. I love statistics, but I even like action better. And having been in the business of sustainability for much longer than I care to say, I've seen so many people talking and not walking. And so I think everybody in this room's got a responsibility to go to those companies that are talking that talk and make sure they carry forward, as you well know. Anyhow, we're talking about people with action, and hopefully that's what we're all about here. I'll tell you briefly about my company, but that's not as important at all. What we do is we take technologies, platform technologies that are transformative, and we build businesses around it around the world. That's our whole platform. And we like to take things that are bleeding edge, cutting edge, et cetera. But I'm going to get to what we do. Probably some of you know about Sobe beverages. That was the first functional beverage, created the beverage category. It's more capitalistic than the conversation today. And some of you ladies know about alpha hydroxy acids, the wrinkle cream, and we brought those to the world. But much more importantly is a company called KX Industries. We were a joint venture with Exxon, and our goal was to do something about oil, but we veered immediately into water, and we created patented technology, activated carbon. And we created the water filter industry, basically. We created the pure filter for Procter & Gamble. We created the end-of-tap filter for Brita. And we created the first refrigerator filter for Electrolux. First time water was cleaned in a refrigerator. So that was pioneering work and very, very important work. However, it's not even 10% of the mission, because what that does is wonderful, but it really takes out the chlorine in the water and doesn't take out bacteria, viruses, cancer-causing arsenic, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, and pesticides. So what we did, and these are other things that we do in emerging markets, smokeless stoves, clean coal, et cetera. But today I want to talk about water. So basically, let's talk about the water initiative, and I need to start with this chart. It's very, very important. You know, we do talk about developing countries, and many of them don't even have water treatment plants. But even when they do, and typically in an urban setting, what I learned from the real scholars of water treatment is this chart. Blew me away. Of 100 liters that goes through a water treatment plant, typically about a third of that water gets discharged back into the environment, into the river, lake, whatever, stream from which the water came. And that water is 3 times more contaminated because it has all the contaminants in it, as well as the cleaning fluids, what have you, that has been used to clean it. So we basically recontaminate our environment. Of the remaining 2/3, and this is a very, very conservative number, about a third leaks out of the pipes. Chicago's 62%, Buffalo's 41%, London's about 30%. On average, Singapore 4%. God bless them, okay? By and large, those pipes are leaking all over the place. And if the typical British system, whether it be Africa, Middle East, or what have you, your waste system, pipe, goes right alongside of your water pipe. So when you have a leakage in and out of your water pipe, you have a leakage in and out of your sewer pipe. So you talk about recontamination, it's amazing, and people don't talk about it. When the water gets to your home, 90% of that water is used for your washing machine, is used for other purposes, your shower, which is important, don't get me wrong, obviously. However, only 2% is actually used for drinking and cooking. And yet, 80% of the cost of a water treatment plant is to make the water drinkable. Now, there's something wrong with that math, folks. And you know, I see a lot of nodding heads. And unfortunately, I feel like a deacon talking to the church here, so don't get me wrong. But everywhere I go, I present these charts because we've got to shake people up, including those corporations with the goals and aspirations. And I'm not being as cynical as it sounds. Believe me, I'm a corporate guy, I guess, a social entrepreneur. But we've got to put them to the test and say we're going to be buying products from the good guys. And that's what we need to do more and more and more. Anyhow, spent a lot of time on this chart, but it's everything. You know, we have a solution for Flint. I was told by the mayor of Flint, the treasurer of Flint, that the mayor would call me in 5 minutes. Never got that call. So I wrote a letter to my dear friend, and I'm not into politics, but boy, he's the best. Senator Bob Casey from Pennsylvania. He's awesome. Okay, and I know I sound like I'm voting for him, and I said, Bob, there are 17 cities in Pennsylvania that have higher lead than Flint. He said, you're kidding me. So he put me in front of the DEP of Pennsylvania. I met with him. He loved our products. I'll show you in a second. And he said, could you come back next year? I said, come back next year. He says, yes, I have a $3 billion deficit, and I don't have any money to do anything into the clean water for my people. And by the way, and I'm not exaggerating, within a month he resigned. And so I'm telling you folks, it's not just in India and Africa. It's in Flint, but it's also in every state. 1/3 of Americans are drinking high arsenic in their water, okay? So am I here to give you good news? Yes, we'll get there. But right now, this is not the greatest of news. I'm sorry. Okay, so we already heard some statistics. You can pick any one, but 50% of the hospital beds in the world are occupied with people with waterborne diseases. More people have died of waterborne diseases than all the conflicts since World War II. You know, I was invited to go to the Atlantic Foundation, God bless them, the health conference, 25 leaders. And I was honored to be across the table from the dean of the medical school at Harvard, blah, blah, blah. And the moderator said to me, she said, you know, Mr. McGovern, you're the entrepreneur. You haven't talked too much. And I said, I'm amazed. And she said, what do you mean? I said, we spent the last hour of this 3-hour meeting talking only about symptoms. We haven't spent 1 second about causes. Water and air are really where it's at, folks. And we have a responsibility to work on the causes, not just the symptoms. Healthcare, it's exceedingly important. But when you speak to politicians, you say you got all those healthcare costs in your country. You could cut them down by a dramatic amount if you just work on clean water. Okay, so what do? The water in New York is very different than the water in Nairobi, and very different than the water in Nagasaki. We're the only company in the world that customizes the solution to the place where we work, okay? We call it glocalization, and you've heard that word before. So we do a process, okay? We've been chosen by many different companies to work with and utilities, what have you, but we have a process, and that process requires 3 steps. You cannot solve a problem without understanding the problem. You've got to diagnose. Then you've got to develop the solutions, and then you've got to deploy them. So what we do, simple, is we do a diagnosis, a water sampling program. We've done it all over the world. We're in other countries right now. Product development, take our products and modify them to the conditions that we're confronting. Is it high arsenic? Is it fluoride? Ghana, southwest Ghana, has severe arsenic because they have a lot of mines there. As I said to somebody before, if you see a mine, you see arsenic, guys. You know how you find gold? Look for arsenic. You know what one of the leading causes of cancer in the world is? Arsenic. You know why? Professor Boswick, Earth Institute, Columbia University, he spends his entire life on arsenic. God bless him, okay? I said, what does it do to you? He says it destroys your DNA's ability to repair. He says it causes diabetes, Hopkins study, causes cancer, Berkeley study, Columbia study causes heart disease. It breaks down the functioning of the human body, okay? So it's something we've got to be working on and working on a lot. So we're a pioneer working with a lot of different people around the world, and one of the proudest things is a leading employer of women, which we can't disclose yet, but we'll be announcing in the next month or two. We provided them a filter so that they can bring it to the people and masses around the world. This chart's what it's all about for our company. You see those products? They're little filters, and they don't do a whole lot. What we dedicated ourselves at the Water Initiative is to create filters that take it all out, or at least to the degree that we're really eliminating those things that cause waterborne diseases and are applicable for emerging markets as well as New York, Pennsylvania, and whatever, California. Actually, we did a rating of the 20 worst cities in the United States. Pensacola got the worst. 7 of the 20 cities in California. But anyhow, this is what we do. We want to be comprehensive. We don't want to be a partial. The problem with partial, as Jessica and I just talked about, is people will use your unit thinking that it's taking care of everything. They'll drink more water and they'll get sicker. It's crazy, but it's true. So this is a little publicity here. These are our products. We have a countertop, lasts 5 years. 5 years, no replacement parts. We brought it to Mexico, serving 500,000 people with clean water, taking out the highest recorded levels of arsenic and bacteria in Latin America. 500,000 people. New administration comes in. Unfortunately, we're asked for contributions to the new administration. We can't do that. So it's amazing how many times we've been stopped in our tracks by politics and by corruption. And we could talk about that all day. Okay? We have a portable, we have a refillable bottle. Refillable bottle takes out all bacteria. So that's just a little plug for our products. This is very, very, we're really proud. Jose Ramon Ardevin was head of drinking water. And he said that we solved the worst problems in Mexico. Don't drink the water, you can drink the water. But 2/3 of the people that use our units no longer drink bottled water. And everybody says, well, what's wrong with bottled water? 40% of it comes from the tap. Okay? A lot of your bottled water, in some cases, look at, and I'm not picking on our good friends at Fiji, but they made a publicity campaign about how their water was better than Cleveland. Everybody know about that? Then Cleveland did a research and found out their tap water is better than Fiji. Anyhow, it's a crazy world out there. So look, I got to stop talking because I've been talking too long. But we're into bringing clean water, and we're all ambassadors of that. And we have to be as passionate as everybody on this planet, and this panel, bringing out clean water and making everybody aware of our needs. Thank you.